Hi guys, today we're going to look at the Other Steps section of the Firefly. The Other Steps section has a selection of useful steps that allow protocol writers to input pauses and user information into the protocol. There are three main steps in this section. Pause. This is a set duration pause that occurs during a run. It does not require the user to interact with the machine, for example, an incubation. This is best if optimizing a protocol for walkaway. User interaction. This pauses the protocol and requires intervention from the user. The Firefly will show a custom message to the user and will not recommence the protocol until the user interaction is completed. It does not have a set duration. Note. This gives the user information about what is happening or what they may need to be doing whilst the protocol is running. This will have no impact on how the protocol runs and should be used for reference only. In this protocol, we have transferred our samples to the working plate and then dispensed enzyme mix across a plate. The plate is then being mixed using the shaker module. This is then repeated with the adapter and ligation master mix. Let's have a look at using a pause step first. Let's say we wanted to incubate this for 15 minutes after shaking, but before we move the plate back to the deck. We can do this using the insert step function to put a pause in before step 7. We can see that this defaults to a duration of 30 minutes. Let's change that, as our desired duration is 15 minutes. We can also add a description to tell the end user what's happening. Let's call this 15-minute incubation. And there we go. Now, let's look at adding a user interaction. For example, to move the plate to the thermocycler after the shake is complete. Let's add a user interaction at the end of this process. A user interaction has two properties. Firstly, the description. This is the instructions given to the user during the pause. It is vital to add clear description for the user. You could also add information such as the protocol used on the thermocycler here. Let's add a description. In this case, I'm going to use the 3 dots button to enlarge the box. Let's add a description that reads, move intermediate DNA plate onto the thermocycler and run example program. We'll also want to add another user interaction to tell the user to put the plate back onto the deck. Return intermediate DNA plate to the deck. The second property is the rest state. This is how the Firefly will be laid out during the user interaction. This can be important if the user wants to access a specific area of the Firefly, such as the reservoirs. In this case, we need upper deck access to collect the plate. Let's also change this on step 9. Finally, let's look at how and when to add notes to a protocol. A note is a useful tool to convey information before the protocol is executed, or to section parts of the protocol, or signpost important information. Let's add a note at the beginning of the protocol to section this as the fragmentation process. Let's also add a second note to section after the thermocycler. We can also use notes to signpost the next protocol that we may wish to run. Let's add a note at the end guiding the user on which protocol to run next. Now, when we move to the execute page, you can see these notes are displayed, but do not have a round circle denoting an action. Always remember, notes do not impact how the protocol is run. Thanks for listening.